started. But if you think about it, South Park. No,
The Simpsons?
The Simpsons were
Yes,
not the
they
South
had.
Park. They had the Hillary Clinton against Donald Trump, which I'm sorry, I don't want to go into conspiracy, but what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
You know, like, it's super weird.
In front of our eyes, and we just go,
And
oh
nobody
well.
thought that this is going to be the election in the end. I mean, nobody thought that it would be Hillary against Trump. That was ridiculous.
And then Trump winning.
Yeah, and that Trump is winning exactly like in the episode. And it's crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
So everything does. Same with the first episode of Black Mirror on the first season.
Yeah.
The one about the Prime Minister
politician
fucking the
that was
pig.
Fucking the pig, yeah. Oh,
Apparently, because it came out it came out before the news came out about David Cameron having some sort of. Oh, you didn't know this?
No.
There's this conspiracy thing where David Cameron, he was, I think he was in Cambridge or something, and at a night that he kind of did that, but not on a live pig, on like a, let's say, like the thing that they put on the walls and stuff.
Oh.
I've heard about this. I'll ask Dara because he knows better.
That he did that?
No, he didn't.
But there are some allegations that he has done it.
It was. That's one of the. That's why I really like Black Mirror. It's super.
Yeah, Black Mirror is awesome, really, but not everybody gets it. It's super weird because, like, my best friend, for example, I mean, of course, she's not such type of a person. She's not like somebody who puts that much into it. But still, like, I asked her about Black Mirror, and she's, I watched a couple of episodes, and I was like, yeah, they're great, right? And she was like, no, I don't understand the idea of that show. Is it about reality? Is it not? And I said, that's the idea. That's the idea that it's about
exaggerated, but it's true
it's an exaggerated
somewhat.
version, and maybe where everything will take us, you know, at a certain point. What is happening now, still. I mean,
it will.
But she can't. She also doesn't like George Carlin. I mean, we have watched together George Carlin, and you know, and for me, it's hilarious. I mean, what he speaks, and it's so. And she's like, I mean, this is a really interesting feeling to see that you have completely other.
Sorry?
I think
you know George Carlin?
I've heard about his name, but I haven't seen his stuff.
The comedian, yeah.
He died over 10 years ago already.
2007, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
It's just weird to think about that here.
I know, but he's one of the biggest comedy. I mean, when you think of stand-up comedy, they say he's the father of stand-up comedy. So it's like, He's one of the people who
such a legacy, and
I know, stay there.
Still, he died already over 10 years ago.
I know.
In our lifetime.
Yeah, that is true.
But anyway, we are live, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, we are.
We are on the internet.
Yes.
Because we actually went live while you were speaking, but I didn't want to interrupt.
It's okay.
Okay, we were talking about interesting stuff.
Exactly, we were already there, and we already had a conspiracy theory.
I'm taking my first sip then.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, ladies.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Still with the coffee.
Cheers.
Yeah, you should. We say you shouldn't actually, because that will give you ugly children.
Really?
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's why you don't
that.
make cheers with non-alcoholic. And that's the truth.
I have no idea. That's good.
So today we're here with Talar.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello, Talar.
Hi.
Oh, thank you for joining us.
Of course, I'm super excited.
Yeah, we'll be able to talk a bit, have some beer, Friday evening, loosen up.
Oh, please loosen up. I already opened my button.
Yeah, very good.
But actually I hear, I guess.
The weekend mode. Yes.
But we're okay still.
Yeah, we're still okay. I mean, people should know that we have like an 8-month-old creature. A cute creature, but still a creature.
Demanding sometimes.
If they saw the last video, they heard him.
Yeah, exactly. So multitasking, what can you do? I mean.
Exactly. Yes, I'm finding my way into the circle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
you guys, Talar,
yes.
I believe since you're the guest, it's only the good thing to ask you about your story.
Okay, so let's begin. I was born in Lebanon, in Beirut, to Armenian parents and Armenian great-grandparents, grandparents, everything. So I was born there in 1993, I don't know, so...
Same year as me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
We share birthday. Same year. I mean, I lived there most of my life until I was almost 22. I lived in Beirut.
Oh, did you live until that?
Yeah.
Right? I thought you moved earlier abroad.
No, I moved here. It was in September 2015, and a month later I turned 22. So that's how.
Yeah.
So I've lived there most of my life. I mean, I like the country, let's say. I like the city. I liked my life, let's say. But I always felt like I needed to get out of it. I don't know. I felt the need to leave and explore and then be on my own, maybe.
You wanted something new.
Exactly, something a bit different, because there are some cultural things. There are some
Specific, yeah.
a bit. Let's say not everyone's open-minded, and then you're seen as this woman object sometimes.
Yeah.
Even though Lebanon is seen as this, open-minded country in the Middle East, it is, but not that much. It's mostly superficial stuff, like wearing short dresses and partying, which, I mean, okay, cool, but at some point you want something a bit more.
Yeah, which is kind of
Even
allowed.
a shorter dress, right?
But so it's kind of allowed publicly.
Yes, yeah, you can wear whatever you want.
Okay.
But yeah, but in my case, I was born in Beirut and stuff, but I lived in this Armenian community. So, I mean, I did have some Lebanese friends, but most of my friends were all like Armenian. So that's why I don't speak Lebanese that well. Like Arabic isn't.
When did your parents move? Or grandparents moved?
No, actually, yeah. This is a. I mean, it's an interesting but tragic story. But I will tell. Like, from my mom's side, my great grandparents came to Syria in the late 1800s when there was this. The Sultan, what was his name? I will remember his name. Sorry.
Suleiman.
No.
Or was that the last one?
It's Abdul Hamid. Yeah, he was the Ottoman Empire's Sultan during that time, and he kind of just wanted to get rid of Armenians because there was. I told you about this yesterday. There was a kingdom of Armenia in Cilicia. It's Armenian. It's Cilicia. Yeah. Anyway, and my great grandparents come from there, and then the Sultan wanted to get rid of them.
You can continue with your story.
I find this very interesting.
Yeah, me too.
It's a part of history that's completely... I mean, I know about the Ottoman Empire in its late stages.
You don't know the details of like the small people, the unimportant ones, what happened to them.
Yeah, what I've heard so far was from her, because they were also under occupation for 400 years.
Yeah, which I didn't know either. We studied the Ottoman Empire and their effect on, let's say, but yeah, we always focused on us, like Armenians being, all that, going through all that shit and stuff. But
so your grandparents came under his rule.
Yeah, I think it was my grandmother's parents or my grandmother's grandparents, something like that. He wanted to get rid of them, so they kind of left and went to Aleppo, Syria.
Yeah.
But that was in late 1800s. This is my mom's side. My dad's side, they came during the genocide, which happened in 1915.
Could they just leave your grandmother's side?
Sorry?
Could they just leave, in the 1800s? Wasn't there any policy on, like, no, you're not allowed to leave?
Yeah, it was, well, actually, from what I remember, it was either leave or just follow us, learn a language, change your religion and all of that, or like, we will kill you. Yeah, and a lot of people died during that time as well. It wasn't a genocide, but still, a lot of Armenians died during that time. So that's how they came. On the other hand, from my dad's side, from what he has told me, like my grandmother or granddad, they came during the genocide. I mean, not everyone survived. I've heard stories, but let's say.
And I mean, it's a touchy subject, so you can say how much you want to share,
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, since I moved here, this feeling, it's not that I will still fight for it. I will talk about it to people and, tell them my story. But when I was back in Lebanon, it felt as if that was like the most important topic in the entire world for us Armenians. We poor people, we went through a lot of like horrible stuff, but we're not the only people who went through, let's say, genocide or massacres. There are a lot of genocide is happening right now at this moment, in Myanmar, and like they're talking about it and everything. So I mean, we're not that special. We are, but I mean, we have to stop giving so much attention to ourselves. This goes, let's say,
I believe it gives you a lot of group identity, right?
Exactly.
And maybe that's what we needed, because you were not in Armenia, so.
Yeah, it did help us, let's say, remain Armenian, which is I mean, good for us. But I mean, the way that we used to every single year commemorate it, I'm all. Yeah, I mean, I will. Yeah, we do. We always go. Yeah,
not a national, but like.
Yeah, we didn't go to school. We used to go and then do protest. And I mean, yeah, we should fight for recognition. But maybe we should also find other ways to kind of
Express
convince
yourself
people, and then
to
communicate
unite.
with them
Yeah.
this whole thing, and then have people accept, what we went through as a nation. But like I was saying, like since I came here, that how am I supposed to explain this? I mean, I still fight for it, but I also feel a lot more empathy for other, let's say, nations who went through it. Whereas before I just go, oh no, look at me, we went through so
we're the
much.
poorest.
I have identity crisis and blah and stuff. I mean,
And was it part of your identity?
it was. I mean, until
I guess
now.
it's automatic if you're Armenian and if you live there, because you ran away from what has been happening, it turns into a part of your identity, and
Yeah, exactly. Like the first thing that I say when I meet people and they just go, where are you from? I say I'm from Lebanon, but then I feel the need to always add that I'm Armenian. I'm not.
Armenian.
I mean, I am Lebanese, of course. I was born there, I live most of my life there, but I'm also Armenian. Please let me add that information to my name, and but.
How is that identity thing for the young other Armenians? That you were with. Like, do they identify as Armenians, or are they like already, they say, okay, that's my heritage, but I'm actually more.
No, I was also like that. We were like, no, we're Armenian. This is not our country, okay? I mean, it is somehow
even though
Lebanon,
many
but
of yours were born there. And everything,
we're like,
it was...
I mean, that's not. It's not our fault. We were born here. I mean, it is somewhat our country, but it also isn't.
Okay.
There was this, feeling of strong nationalism and all of that.
And did you go to Armenian school?
Yes, I did. I went to an Armenian school. It was a good school. I mean, the first language was Armenian, which kind of helped me, maintain my language until now. Even though I've been using a lot of English words lately, apparently. But whatever. It's what it is. But we did go. We do have a lot of Armenian schools in there. Like a lot of people kind of wanted to, keep the culture and a lot of like cultural, societal. I don't know how to explain. Organizations that you can go. I learned how to dance Armenian and all of that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it is.
Maintaining such traditions is really nice.
Yes. It's slowly. I'm not saying it's not decreasing, but it's not the same as before. That's what I've noticed. Like people
more modern and so on.
Yeah, that's
changing times.
Yeah, I mean, even for example, we have this. It's not a rule, but we like to keep Armenian. This is why my name is Armenian. So we like to keep those names. But I've noticed that new generations, they are starting to care less. And I mean, it doesn't make you like an Armenian person if you have the name. But I mean, in my opinion, I'd like to. If I have kids, name them.
You would name them.
I would. Yeah.
Of course, keeping your roots, your heritage, somehow passing it on. I mean,
we have nice names.
In such a positive way. It's great through traditions, through for example, keeping the names or practicing the language.
Of course. I mean, do you remember when I was once babysitting Theo, and I was unintentionally speaking in Armenian to him. And
you said that it feels naturally.
It did, and then I realized, oh no, too many languages. I'm so sorry, child.
No, but I think that this is exactly the language that has been closer or is still closer to your heart somehow. And babies, they instinctively just drive you to the thing that is most close to you and to express yourself like that. So it's normal. But how was it growing up in Lebanon, which is still also a very culturally defined place with another cultural identity? Was it like an obstacle in some cases, or was it exotic in other cases maybe? Because I remember in Sofia we had a couple of I had a couple of classmates that were also from with two cultures background, and it was always super interesting. I mean, for them it was a big benefit actually. And but in some other cases it's not. I mean, my cultural identity has been like a problem in Austria sometimes. So,
I mean, I wouldn't say it was a problem, no, because when I was born, the Armenian community was so integrated with the Lebanese, so
it was okay.
They were kind of used to each other. I mean, they were kind enough to let all these refugees come and live there, so they were very open about it. So I wouldn't say I had obstacles. I never had. It's just maybe there would be some cultural differences, but I mean, like I said, over time. But those differences kind of decreased, and to turn, let's say, 18 and stuff, and started properly experiencing that those
That's
differences
great.
kind of it was
so
great.
it's not like a parallel society within
No,
the society like in many
no, we
cases
do
in
actually
Europe.
get along very well.
Yeah, very good.
I mean, sometimes when I went to I've been to Armenia twice.
Yeah.
And I mean, I really love the country. I do. I'm not saying it because I'm Armenian, but I do see some cultural differences between us.
Yeah.
Because they've been under the Soviet, let's say, occupation, exactly, and they've kind of lived a bit differently than us.
Yeah.
So plus we have different dialects. I understand that, but I don't speak like them.
Yeah.
So then there's these differences. I mean, the first time that I went, it kind of made me think, wait, do I feel more at home in Lebanon or is it here?
Yeah,
crisis mode activated.
Exactly. And I said, stop defining places as your home. Like, stop, maybe define people as your home. I don't know. I was like trying to get over that.
Or
It's like a huge experiment, huge sociological experiment,
absolutely,
separate the population and see how they develop differently.
Yes, it's quite interesting. And then you go and then they realize, they just go, where are you from? Wait, let me guess, you're from Lebanon, right? And you just go, yes, fine. But we're the same, But I mean, I'd like to go to let's say, which is present Turkey now, where my great-grandparents, or let's say great-great-grandparents come from, and actually see that. I think I will be much more emotional if I go there.
Do you know the place?
Yes. One of them it's Antep, but in Turkish I don't know what's it called. I checked it actually. The word I forgot. But in Armenian it's Antep.
It's in the Asian part. I mean,
Anatolia.
Sorry.
Anatolia, right? That's the name of the Asian part.
I think so.
Yeah, in German it's Anatolian. That huge chunk, where only that little bit is in Europe and like the rest is
everything else. But I'd like to
so
go
it's
there.
there in the other part.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can go. I don't need I don't need a visa, which is cool.
I lived here, guys.
Yeah.
My family.
This is mine. That house is mine.
Yes.
Yeah.
But actually, is it a house? Does it still stand? Do you know anything? Or did they tell you anything?
I mean, they do say that some places have kind of stayed. They're now occupied by a lot of like Turkish people and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, some people do say that they have found that, say, some of their ancestors,
Yeah, maybe you can still go ask around. Somebody would know somebody else who knows somebody else who has been in this village for some. I mean, it happens usually like that. So, yeah, definitely that will be a great experience.
Yeah, I would love to do that one day. I definitely will.
But you have such a diverse backgrounds, I mean, we have been talking with you also about identity and how much it matters, like the sense of identity, and that you don't really have it, or not the way that it's defined with other people, like who come really from one culture and have been born in a certain country, and the parents are from this country and the grandparents are from this country and everything, and but it could be, in my view, it could be a big benefit. I mean, it could be really like a big benefit.
You can look at it positively. You can always look at it negatively and complain and then just go, I don't know what my identity is and I'm confused and stuff. But at the same time, you can look at it, like you said, in a positive way. You just go, yes. I mean, in my case, it was different because there was this large community that say that there's like 380,000 Armenians, even more now. So I mean, it's not as if my parents were Armenian, just moved to Lebanon and I grew up there. Exactly. It wasn't like that. Yeah. So, I mean, I got to experience both, let's say, in some way. But, I think, no, I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, I would... I'm not saying, if I could go back, I would stop, the genocide and stuff, and probably live in Armenia.
Not about that,
but I mean, since I can't do that, I am,
born out of it, and maybe,
it did make me much more, I know, like, more languages now because of that, which is, like, a small plus.
Exactly.
But, no, I mean, it is interesting, and it kind of starts interesting conversations with people as well.
Yeah.
When they ask you, and they just go, I'm from there. I'm originally not from there.
No.
Then they go, exactly, let me give you a history lesson, child. And then
how did you pay attention in history class?
Yeah, you didn't know about this? Oh my god. Some people have actually linked, because there's a span system of a down.
We know that.
Wow, I can't believe I said that way.
No, I mean,
there is system of a down.
Many people don't know them, but
they're missing out.
Yes,
but their origin is from Lebanon and they're Armenian.
They are Armenian.
They're Americans now.
Are they?
Serge Tankian is born in Lebanon, from what I know.
I
Yeah.
thought that they're Armenian, but I didn't know.
What
that
a story, right?
Yeah.
Like he went there, everybody
And
went
now
somewhere.
he's the US, and
Yeah, I mean, from what I know, I could be wrong, but I think he was born in Lebanon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
could be.
That would
Yeah,
be
yeah,
hilarious.
yeah.
And then he moved to the States, and
Awesome.
yeah, Dave talked to because they did a tour on the
They're
100th
awesome,
anniversary.
really.
Yeah.
And some of
And-
their songs about also genocide.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, indeed.
That's how some people know. They just go, that song about this, about that, and they just go, yeah.
Armenians don't have to die.
But angels do.
But
I don't
it's
wanna
weird
be,
because
but
this is like there so much happened in the 20th century, and like this genocide or this crime has received so little attention comparatively. What I can say.
From now.
Like the number one topic is of course Second World War.
Yeah.
Maybe then Rwandan's
Yeah.
genocide, right?
Although this is
some
also
people know, but
many people don't know about the
many
Yes.
people don't. But it's getting worse and worse, you know. So only the Second World War, excuse me,
Yeah.
is the one that people actually discuss in terms
Yeah.
of genocide.
Yeah.
But then like Armenia or Rwanda is like already.
Second category doesn't really
Yeah,
matter.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, okay, it's okay.
Because
Maybe you
what
had
can
some
you get
genocide,
out
you know,
of
but
it?
there's this one that's really much higher now
Exactly.
in the ranking.
What can you get out of it? I mean, what kind of a public pressure or like how can you use to form opinions? I mean, I guess this is what matters, you know, because the Second World War, it's about, it's like after the Second World War we built peace, and this is our biggest achievement in history, even though before that centuries and centuries like similar things had been happening on such a scale, you know, even though differently of course, but like, and then the results were also, I mean, you know, like humanity has always survived, like history repeats itself, but we just now we repeat and repeat the last stage because it serves certain interests, you know.
By
That's
last
the thing.
stage,
And
you
from
mean
the
Cold
one,
War? By last stage, you mean the Cold War?
yeah.
Because I
in
still
Cold
believe
War
that
as
there
well,
is
yeah.
still
Like
Cold
last
It's a
War
new
going
Cold
on.
War, yeah.
It's not going to stop.
Indeed, no, indeed, absolutely. Maybe in 100 years they will repeat what's happening now, you know, all the time, and then the Second World War will be forgotten. But now, what we have is a reference point, you know, to the system that we are
Yeah.
right now. It's still what happened in the 20th century,
Exactly.
and very selectively, you know,
Yeah.
because not everything works. I mean, yeah, in Rwanda, what happened was crazy. I mean, for 3 days, 800,000 people were slaughtered like shit.
With machetes.
With machetes, yes, and and those were, by the way, official institutions that were launching this. I mean, I don't know what was the state of, you know, of affairs there. I mean, how sophisticated the institutional setting and everything is, but those were people from their ministries that were actually launching this massacre. So this is a big thing, and yeah, but it doesn't serve. I mean, what can you get out of it again? That's the question. That's the.
But actually, this makes me curious. How did actually the Armenian genocide take place? Because in terms of how it went down, I have no knowledge.
Okay, I'll
I
tell
know
you
what
that.
I'm just gonna say. What I know is that the Ottoman Empire was really at a bad state during that time, and they had
Yes.
issues in terms of food, right? Produced, they couldn't feed the population, and then they tried to deport the Armenians to solve somehow this problem. That's all that I know from my.
I mean, they did have issues during that time. That's completely
Okay.
true. But they were, this sultan that I was talking about, the Abdul Hamid dad, who was doing all of these massacres and stuff. They were kind of sick of him at some point, and then three let's say leaders took over him, and then they had 3 leaders during that time. And those 3 leaders, they kind of, you know, preached that they were gonna do so much better stuff. They're not gonna do any massacres. Everything's gonna go well, and the people were happy because, I mean,
If you start with that, we're not gonna do any massacres.
I
No, the
thought
last
this-
guy, you know,
that's
but we're clean.
exactly.
I
mean,
That guy is a bit.
So yeah, everyone believed, and during that time, a lot of Armenians and let's say Turkish people, they were friendly, and you know, we were neighbors at the end of the day. We shared a lot of cultural, let's say, aspects and etc. But they came, but they had this plan because there is like Turkey and then there is Azerbaijan. They wanted, you know, Armenia was just an obstacle. You know, let's just get rid of that, and then we just come together, you know, and be bigger and stronger, hopefully. So they kind of
Nobody
planned.
consulted you, right? I mean,
Yeah, they did plan. So what they did was they called all the, let's say, elite people at 1st. You know, that there's this, there's that, all the writers and, you know, poets,
Intellectuals.
and intellectuals, all of
community,
these. They called them, and then, I mean, they all killed them like this.
oh god.
That was done. And then there were the women and children and old people, and some men who weren't, let's say, like part of the elite. I mean, yeah, they just, you know,
So
got
you
rid
were
of
just
them.
an obstacle, yeah, between
Yeah, we were-
like some interests.
Yeah,
and,
but there were good ones. I mean, my grandmother has told me the story. I really like telling the story. I don't know if it's
Yeah,
100% true or not, but apparently her great grandmother during that time was a baby when they were like walking. But this was before the genocide. So anyway, still same, let's say, horror. And one of the officers, Turkish officers, got a call. I mean, not like a phone, but yeah, I got a call, let's say, a message to behead everyone who's like walking to Syria.
Oh,
And instead of beheading them, he apparently cut their hair, and then he just said, "Yeah, I beheaded them," and
yeah.
they lived.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Good
there are
guy.
a lot. Yeah, there are a lot of,
That's
let's
Shout
say,
out to that
yeah,
guy.
yeah,
a lot of other, let's say, Turkish officials or Turkish people who kind of opened their doors to Armenians, because, like I
Yeah.
said, we were neighbors.
yeah.
Even though, let's say, your authority is saying, you know, let's kill them, let's get rid of
Yeah.
them, you just won't accept it. You just
Yeah.
go, I mean, I lived with this person for years. How am I supposed to, you know, let
Yeah,
them
yeah,
die?
absolutely.
So there are some, I mean, nice, let's say, stories like this.
Yeah.
But
I've heard
Yes.
similar attitude as well when we were falling under the Turkish invasion, which was also in the 12th century. So, like, just
12th century.
yeah.
So 800 years of Turkish
No,
occupation.
wait. Yeah. Until
the Ottoman Empire
18
didn't
13,
survive for a
12,
very long
13,
time.
12, 13.
Jesus Christ.
500 years. We were in
Yeah.
5 centuries under the Ottoman Empire. And especially on the borders where it was. I mean, many Turks just didn't want to participate in that because at that point they were invading us and they were saying whoever denounces Allah or whoever doesn't accept it is beheaded, you know. And like
Yeah.
many Bulgarians were absolutely, no, I can't accept it, you know. We were
Orthodox. Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
totally Orthodox at that point. And some Turks, were hiding people and were
Yes,
saving
exactly.
them and were lying exactly to their authorities and to the ones that they got the command from
Yeah.
and were helping. So, and this also continued during the 5 centuries. I mean, some Turks, were in every region and everything had like a Turkish head, head person who was
Like a
responsible
local
for it.
leader.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly, and like a local leader, and not many, but some of them were really, trying to help the Bulgarians, trying to help poor people, and actually integrating really in the community. And then it was even hard when the Turkish, when we got free. That we have to separate that way. It's a mess, of course.
Mhm.
Like you say,
Yeah.
you have been sharing, you have been neighbors for years and years, and then somebody just gives you the commands, or because it
Yes.
serves certain interests, and then how do you do it?
Yeah, some people
Yeah.
just didn't accept it. They just didn't want to.
Exactly.
But going through something like this kind of gives you more empathy to other, let's say, nations who went through it.
Yeah.
And some
You can
stories that
recognize
I've
the
heard.
suffering and
Yeah, you just go, oh my god,
Impact
we
of
went
it.
through the same thing.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be so happy about it, but I just go, oh wait, I can feel you, I can feel you.
Yeah,
You know?
no, it's
Yeah, I haven't understood that attitude from the Israelis, to be honest, because I was always very surprised how they handled the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, because you went through one of the worst experiences in the 20th century, and then
you
it's almost you are very close to also keeping a people in a certain state.
Yeah, oof.
To me, it was like, okay, like you say, you sympathize and you have a.
But here we can speculate. I don't think that maybe sometimes, I don't know, I don't want to generalize. I can't speak of societies that go through certain things like that, like horrific things that are on such a scale. But I know of an individual, if you go through something severe in your life, you can either start to like sympathize actually other people who have been fighting with these problems or whatever, or sometimes you turn actually extreme and you go into, you know, like I take the charge, I take the control. And I think that this could be also on a larger scale with a society, that some societies actually maybe, you know, turn into, yes, oh, I recognize your suffering, I recognize that you've been through the same thing, so now I'm kind of more open-minded to, you know, collaborate more and see how we overcome this feeling of our, you know, like community and nation, what we went through. And some other societies maybe go into the extreme, you know, I have to really fight not to happen a second time.
We have to protect ourselves.
I have to protect, exactly, it's actually in a protection mode. So...
Well, I totally understand what you're saying, because...
I don't know whether that's the explanation, but it seems logical on an individual level, so maybe on a collective is as well like that.
It depends on the lessons that you take away, I would say.
Yes. Yes.
Because today I was in a conversation with some South African people on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I was actually quite critical because they wanted to introduce some... They want to introduce some bills to reappropriate lands that they say were stolen by the white farmers there.
Ooh.
It's a very contested subject, and we actually watched this documentary about the topic, which is called Farmlands.
Yes.
And I mean, it went even through the world news, even the BBC was reporting on this bill. And what I see is exactly the same, that some of the people, the black people, they feel that they've been oppressed. And we can talk about how much it was actually the case and how much it wasn't. But the point is that the lesson they take away, or some of them, the lesson they take away is that they're victims, that they're oppressed, and the only way to make it right again is by going into the other extreme.
Fighting back, taking lands, and but this is exactly that's why when you told me that story today, I reacted like, oh, such a communistic thing to do. Wasn't also communism?
And there are communists. I'm
just
gonna add, I mean, the politically they're very on the left side.
Yeah. Actually, this is opening another topic, but I mean, if we wanna.
What do we say?
Well, I just said that, like, now that you're saying it's that way, but this is really like a huge thing to throw out there. But doesn't communism seem also as an extreme reaction when communism was coming, you know, in the 20th century and spreading it? Wasn't it as well like an extreme reaction to, oh, you know, we're oppressed by the elite and everything, so now we take actually, you know, this ideologically, wasn't it like there was a previous ideology which was, you know, the monarchy and everything, and I understand what were the problems there, you know, I understand like the oppression, and there was some division, and you know, the the rich ones and this is in the poor population, but then the reaction to it, which was communism, and it spread so quickly, like people who are against communism same as a disease, but let's not name it like that because it's true, but it spread really quickly, I mean, for one reason or another. Isn't that also an extreme reaction to what you had been experiencing before that?
I totally agree.
Yeah, right? It's
yes, like, it does make sense, but at the same time there was this balance issue, because let's say they were feeling that, I mean, I'm not like sympathizing with them, but I mean, they were so oppressed and so, you know, living in these, you know, horrible situations that they thought the only way to get out of it is go to extreme. But I agreed to go, let's say, to an extreme, but to a certain time. After that, when the balance is coming to, let's say, it's balancing out, you kind of have to, you know, stop it. That's the thing, some people just don't stop. Same with
so
communism as well.
If you have like the
if it's like this
and it's like that, you have to push it like that
a bit,
first,
and then just
like come
try and maintain it. But sad, it doesn't work. Exactly,
so
it never does. It doesn't work like
you
that.
get invested into that, and then
you just can't stop. You get. I'm not gonna say you can get addicted.
It's power, because you use the state power and it's unlimited. So if you want to have the power, you're worried about losing the power. That's why you go extreme. Look at Stalin. You know how extreme he went in the end.
That's why I read, it was in some book that I read, but it was said very nicely, but I can't exactly remember it, but it was really smart, and I think like it's really clever. It's exactly like that. You should always judge your enemies, but you should never like act like they did. You know, I mean, you shouldn't, because this will never bring the solution to the problem that in the first place you're criticizing. So indeed, I agree with you. I think, you know, especially at that time, you know, when the communism was born, you know, and when it had spread, like many people, of course, did it out of the desire actually to bring some justice and to bring some balance. Exactly. But the thing is that you
It's
cannot
part of that,
unbalance by acting exactly like the ones you criticize, because then you become them. I mean, you become in that position, you transform, and then.
That's the danger of the victim mentality, because for one, often the one who perceives himself as a victim is not the person who actually suffered. You know, like if they say, okay, all the workers have been oppressed by, for let's say, the Tsar. You know, like it's like a historical argument. You say like the last 400 years were oppression, for example. So you have this huge historical debt that can never be actually absolved.
Yeah, it could never be.
Because I mean, then where do you stop? You know, if you put like everyone into a gulag, who resists you in enforcing your new state model? But I mean, when do you stop? You know, and when is the point where you would say, okay, now we reformed. Like Soviet Russia
that's
enough,
a bit too
and then
utopian. It's like way too. I mean, I wish,
stop.
but
That's why one ideology is changing with the other one and with the other one, and each new ideology or new system claims that they were the previous victims that now are taking the charge, and actually we're gonna do the good now. And then some time passes, things get deeper and deeper, and then some other group of the society just like gets away and occupies this power in some time, and then they turn it, and it's just shifting.
Exactly.
It's just a circle that's turned.
That's one against the victim mentality.
Repeats. I mean, absolutely.
Because you put yourself into a position where you can't get out.
Exactly.
By adopting this mindset, by seeing yourself as oppressed or exploited, or
and besides, you always wait for an external source, to help you. I mean, to get, and if you're a victim, I mean, you always remain to be one, because the only thing that you.
Because it's a good position to occupy. Because if you're a victim, then you can also claim victim benefits. You could even say, because then you have the moral right to, for example, take from others. Like
which
the South Africans, they have now I just want to explain that.
Sure.
Like those people that I was speaking to, my impression was that in their mind they really had the right to take the land without compensation, because they felt so wronged, even though most of them, or those two people, one of them was a young woman. She was 30. I mean, she was never. She had no land taken from her. But she had it all on her back,
And those people who have been caring about the land that they want to take the land from, I mean, they were also not the ones that were oppressing directly. They're just the ones that how many generations it has been and everything. I mean, you had absolutely no right of.
And not to mention that they actually in South Africa they had programs where they offered the blacks land under a certain scheme, so they could get land cheaply or get money. So to get a compensation of sorts after apartheid was abolished. And actually most people wanted the money, not the land.
Exactly.
But the point is really this victim mentality is powerful, because as long as it's recognized, then you can get benefits by it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if you are getting power, you're still in that mindset.
You pretend to be a victim. It's like the same with feminism.
I was actually gonna mention that. I mean, same with the balance thing again. It was, let's say, women were oppressed for years. They were, I mean, everyone was, but women were, let's say, a bit more. And then, they got, let's say they had it, and then they fought for it. Thank you very much. Everything's going well. But then it started going up again, victim, and then we want this and we want that, and then focusing on nonsense when actually there are worse things happening in this world.
Exactly. And there are some other places than the civilized societies that we have, at least here on the western part and everything, that you can actually apply your feminism and lead to some good things. Because I believe that means still in the third world countries, in war zones and everything, women, just because of the physical, because of the physical downside. I mean, how do I say it? Like, because we're physically not so strong. You automatically put in shitty situations. For example, women in war zones trade sex for food. I mean, it's like there are actually places and there are situations which are in need of feminism, but it's not where.
But we need more quotas for.
But we need
for high earning jobs.
Please.
And today I saw even a message on TV that a female genital mutilation is still a huge problem.
It is in the UK. It is.
When genital mutilation, when they cut off the parts of the women's genitals just to fit. It's even a religious thing, or it's
It is.
It's a not disbelief, but this.
It is a religious thing.
Yeah, but also religious is but Aberglauben, you know. It's this hocus pocus belief that you need to cut off some parts and then something's better and it's more hygienic. And of course, it's super backwards, but.
And I still believe that it's involved with the fact that I don't know, that I believe so that in the Islamic religion still in the severe cases, at least in the really fanatic cases, the woman should not feel pleasure, Yes, so I think it's actually a religious issue and it's
a religious issue that's not getting addressed. Yeah. And now they're actually seeing the increasing of the FGM victims in Great Britain.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They're like, oh, how did this happen?
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Yeah, in Europe you see a rise because
of course. Yeah, in the UK it was brutal. They even discovered some hospitals that were doing the genital mutilation. You know, it was like some doctors. Yeah, they even sued them, I believe. Yeah, it was definitely in the UK. There were these cases like lately even.
Well,
I mean,
thank
it's
you.
a recent thing.
I mean, not to mention that the female genital mutilation with boys is still okay.
Yeah,
they go through,
For example, nobody says that, you know. I was also in some discussion, you know, like online, and then somebody said this point about the female genital mutilation, which of course is a completely valid point. Such things should not be happening. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then, you know, I mentioned that though this is also happening to boys, you know, there's the circumcision is very pronounced still. I mean, in certain communities, and it's again religiously driven and stuff. And they were like, oh, this is not the same because the circumcision is done by men. Yeah, but it affects men. I mean, I'm not talking about who's doing it. I'm saying
that's not an argument.
You know, who are the victims in that case? I mean, the victims.
Women would be doing it. That's your problem.
Exactly.
No, they were arguing, you know, it's all man's job. I mean, the men are
the patriarchy is doing it.
Yeah, the men are to blame, you know.
Of course.
My argument was not valid.
Stupid
that
me.
we have issues, you know, from both sides, both young boys and young girls going through that. But my argument is not valid because it's all done by men. I mean, I was not even talking about the perpetrator in that moment, but about the victim. But you know,
it's bizarre.
I want to say that by victims we still, and criticizing the victim mentality and everything, we still don't mean, I mean, you know, I still acknowledge that there were certain cases, and they are still, and where the dominance is exactly in extremes, you know, and there are really people who are victims. I mean, societies that are victims. I don't want to just to sound, you know, that we're denouncing, oh, nobody's a victim, everything is just.
No, I'm not making that point.
People are, gonna react, you know. I mean, it's not about that. It's about using the victim mentality in situations where actually, I mean, you can get much more benefit for yourself and for the surroundings.
Yeah, it's for your agenda.
But by
it's a convenient lie that you can
tell. Yeah, it's a convenient lie. Yeah.
No, I don't.
But
because I don't need to perform
victims.
more. I don't need to make an effort because I'm a victim. You know, like
Exactly. That's the case.
Yeah, super interesting.
No, and that's. That made me think what you just said. What did we talk about before?
Oh, before I said the
victim mentality.
Yeah, about the boys and the girls, and I said that you know it was.
Oh no, you talked about the victims. That made me think that actual victims are just less likely to speak out.
Yeah.
Because of that, which is the.
I think so.
Which is the really negative aspect of it.
Yeah.
You have. It's the same with rape, for example.
You're traumatized.
There is rape cases, but there are also many women who just capitalize on that. I'm sorry to say it like that.
Yeah.
Not many, but a few, or just enough to make a dent. And I believe an actual victim will behave differently than people who use, for example, publicity to make their point, you know.
Yeah.
Because that's like the thing. You have a victim class of actual victims, but I believe mostly they're less likely to speak out, be it female genital mutilation or whatever, or sexual violence. And then you have a group of people who are willing to capitalize on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's again two extremes.
Yeah.
You either, you know, don't talk about it because you're traumatized, or you take it way too far.
Make a big
campaign.
Everyone is a
victim. Exactly, you know, fight for it, do something, but just we always cling to extremes. That's what I'm noticing. I even either individually or as a group of people or as a nation or everything. Yeah. It's always extremes. And
but don't you think it's changing now with the new media as well?
that is changing, or it's even more extremes?
No, that
because I think it's even more extremes with the new media. I think before it was extreme, but now it's even more, and it's because of this attention thing, you know, the problem with the attention span and the fact that everything on the new media, everything online is for the attention, even if it's not done from the media itself, from the commercial media or the big players, you know, everything is about, you know, making somebody read your shit or watch your shit or whatever, and people just, without even wanting, sometimes like many times intentionally, but sometimes unintentionally, just put the drama a bit more, and that's
you are right.
So it goes in even more to extremes, I believe.
You're right in a way, I would say, because I see it also changing. For example, we see it with the traditional media, who is more and more adapting the clickbait writing style, but they're actually losing out because they're doing that. You know, people distrust the newspapers more and more, for example, because all they do is write in with very brief or nonsensical articles, and people catch on to that. That's what I see in regards to media. They try to do it, you know, to make it short and polarizing, but actually people like us, they don't wanna, they know that it's nonsense, and they're turning to things that are more substantial.
And they don't believe. I mean, the disbelief is like,
they don't take it for granted.
And they don't want to get fooled anymore, in a way,
you know,
by this nonsensical sort of reporting.
It's a very positive outlook, but I think that you're just seeing a symptom of the whole extreme going actually that is happening right now on the new media, you know, and online. I mean, of the whole polarization. It's just that it has gone into such an extreme that you don't believe anything anymore, and that even
you.
Well, like
that's also a very generalized statement.
I know, but what I see is that people are super distrustful, you know, even under like posts or something that tells a personal story that kind of looks, I mean, or the person, you know, is trying to make a point or whatever, and it kind of looks legit, I mean, it kind of looks important, and then people down, I don't know whether they're trolls, maybe they're just trolls or whatever, but they're just like, either, oh shit, I mean, this is, you know, like awful, or I don't believe you, I mean, I don't know, I think the level of distrust has grown to such an extent that...
For this we also need to take the anonymity into account, though, right, because it's another factor that if it's anonymous, and I see that a lot, and people are just more open into being assholes. Because it's one of the last ways where you actually also can live out that urge.
Yeah. Because your point was that like people are starting to wake up to see that this is some shit from the traditional media that they're doing, and I don't trust you anymore, so I'm gonna turn to a better sources.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that people just like they are waking, not that they're waking up, but they don't trust anything anymore.
Yeah.
And that's like the automatic reaction, which doesn't mean that you're going to better sources or that
you
you're
just
informing
isolate yourself.
You just isolate yourself.
Yes.
I see so much. How do you call this? Alienation.
Alienation.
Yeah. I mean this. Just like nihilism about everything. You just don't get.
That's true. I hear that.
And then I'm not sure whether there is this positive step that you're saying that after, you know, this I distrust this, then I go and I will inform myself from good sources. I think it's just that
nihilism is part of the equation, I would say.
Yeah, I think both of them are taking place.
Yeah.
I mean, those who are actually aware and, you know, they just go, okay, I don't really 100% believe this source, it is a perspective, but I will also look at these and then make my own analysis and, you know, whatever my interpretation. But there are also, like you said, the others who are completely like, they read one conspiracy theory and they just go, you know, the earth is flat.
Yeah.
The earth is flat.
Flat earth.
And there's
it is flat.
It is, yeah. And then we didn't go to the moon.
Yeah,
and
they believe everything.
And I don't know.
Came to us.
And there is this third group that are so fed up with distrusting everything that you can't anymore convince them about anything, you know. I have some friends, for example, and we're talking about such shit, like some important shit, you know, and then I'm like saying, okay, but I read this and this, it happened that and that, I can even give a sort of like, oh, what do you believe this stuff? And I'm saying, but it really is, you know, it's something like super direct. Yeah, and before that also we were discussing some issue, and oh, I don't know. And I said, but how don't you know? I mean, there is this option and there is this option, more or less. What do you think is more valid to you, you know? I mean, I want to know. Well, I don't know anymore today. What do you believe? You don't believe anything? Okay, good, you don't believe that side, you don't believe the other side. But I show you, for example, and I try to bring something, you know, that I have read on the topic, and I said, but you see, this is exactly written here. No, I don't.
Because it
believe
makes
that.
them
I mean,
want to think and they don't want to.
Yeah, it's just that I don't believe anything. I can't believe anything anymore, so I completely isolate myself. I don't think about it. It's not important. Let's talk about coffee.
That's the easy road, though.
It's
Do you know the background of those people? You know what they do?
Those are people mainly that are, I mean, I don't know, I had such experience now that I came back to Sofia. I mean, people that are in their own routine, you know, and maybe a bit in their own comfort zone. But the thing is that they don't get anymore because, you know, like, we could say that, oh my God, we have so much information. We have this whole other world online, you know. You can get really, like, you can follow up on your interest, on your hobby. You can get information about this and this. It's just like so, you know, diverse and I mean so rich. And then like this going into the extreme online though pushes people away from any kind of information. I think there is this phenomenon, you know.
But
so
I would say
and those are the people who have found some form of routine in their life and some form of comfort, so that they go the next day, the next day, the next day, the next day, and then they are like,
shut off.
Yeah, shut off.
I would say that's information overload in my eyes.
Oh, Monica.
She should have been here.
Yeah.
But
when people get to, I know it for myself. I have also to make sure that I don't read too much because there's so. I mean, you have it at your fingertips and you can read book by book.
But it's up to you. But it's up to you to kind of put the limit. And some people can't.
Exactly.
And so they get completely rid of it. They just go, oh my God, too much information. Let me go watch sheep jump on the pool. I don't know. And then, so yeah.
It takes discipline.
Exactly. You should have your own discipline. You say, okay, I'm interested in this and this and this and that. I'd like to explore more.
Participate in this world and have some form of opinion on some stuff at least, so that you can have some like identity, or I don't know. I mean, and you can relate on a societal level, I guess.
But this leads you know, this information overload. It comes from because you also get dopamine hits from using your phone. You know, dopamine is like when you get notifications, when you get emails, and then you're addicted and you need more and more, and then it numbs you, I believe, and then you can't really engage with what you're reading.
This is the reward, this is the reward mechanism that actually all of the medias are built up like that. In terms of design, in terms of content, of everything, it's just like pushing the button for a reward for you, which is this dopamine level.
And it's exhausting.
Yeah, it is exhausting.
It's like taking drugs just through your eyes.
It is, yes, absolutely.
And you have that every day. I mean, imagine you wake up in the morning, until the night you have it boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
That's
why you need to balance out, as you said, but it's just, I mean, most of the people, I guess, don't find it easy enough to find this balance, and that's why, they decide to completely ignore it. But I think it's not... I mean, I don't know, this just leaves the online world and our world, just like be there into the extremes, and that's it. I mean,
exactly.
People, yeah.
I mean, the other day my friend was telling me about this. It's not about the extreme, it's just like the people who actually work for Facebook, let's say, or Instagram and all these social media organizations, they actually have said that, I didn't read the article, I will send to you if you want.
Yeah.
They actually have said about that when they, let's say, go home after work, they shut off everything. Because and I was actually thinking about it the other day. What if I, turn off all of my electronic stuff?
It's a great experience.
It is, because I was thinking, I can read my book.
Yes.
I can go for a walk.
You can read 3 pages without being distracted.
That's a huge issue. I remember one time you were saying about it. I mean, people who can't read books because. Or long articles because they just need more stimulation. Where is the stimulation? And then there isn't. We're so used to this, even with the notification that he said, always something that grabs your attention.
And even I feel like it's changing me, like it's interesting because, now I have some, like, I don't know, like 10 years of perspective of me using technologies, or like, let's say, intensively for the last 5 years, and then I see how it actually impacts me as well. And now I have to even put effort, like in the evening, usually I have the habit of just really going away from I don't shut them completely. But I try to read, and I read, and I sit here on the window and have a cigarette and read. But I feel that, like, from time to time, on every 10th minute or something, there is something. I have observed myself. There is some urge, to do something.
Yeah, it's normal because.
But it wasn't like that before.
No.
I mean, I don't know. I can really see it in perspective, and it's wasn't, and I think it is from what you're saying. The technology is.
Yeah. I will find the article. I think it was on the Guardian or something, but I'm not sure. But it is interesting. Yeah, it kind of that made me, because I do have Instagram. I don't use it that much. I mean, I post usually like nonsense and whatever. But that made me want to delete the application. I did.
I know Instagram. I didn't.
It's a waste of time.
Yeah, this is awful.
I mean, I'm looking at your photos. Cool. I mean, I like your photos. Cool. But that's just it.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless someone...
And at least you're looking maybe at photos of friends of yours or those people of yours. Now the next step in Instagram is much worse. It's about it's like a commercial platform for branding
yes.
self-promotion. So the next step is actually following some famous people, you know, or some trademarks or whatever. I mean, and then you get sucked into that so much.
Their
it's not
lives,
even your family or your favorite people, like your close
you know what they're up to every single day.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous, and it's sad. But the thing is that even the people who have worked on all of the social media, you know, from the Silicon Valley, all those minds and experts, they are admitting that they have created everything, and they said it wasn't exactly intentionally as well. I mean, and I understand. They said, you know, when we were creating Facebook, when we were creating all of the whole layout, you know, and all of the features that are built in the platform, we wanted to make it work. We just wanted to make it as attractive as possible because, of course, we're the creators for our users. So it wasn't exactly with the intention of, I want to hook you like shit, and this is it.
Yeah,
you know, but actually, they have been following models of casino. They have been following models of gambling, you know, of how you do the design that they're doing is actually on the gambling, you know, based on the gambling principles. And for example, there is a very interesting thing that I read, you know, on Facebook, like I don't know when, but like in latest time there is a feature when you are on your news feed, and you can, at least that's on the mobile phone actually, and you can just scroll down with one finger on your news feed and it gets reloaded, and then you see whether you have a notification or not. And this is a new feature, you know, like if I hold my phone and I'm on the news feed, you know, and just like
you do like
down,
this,
and then the newest posts come out, you know, and the notification appears if you have one, but the newest posts are it gets reloaded, and it's like the next thing. And then I was reading an article about the creator of that feature exactly, and he was saying, okay guys, it looks really ridiculous for the fact that, you know, anyway when you're on your news feed it gets updated anyway. It's not necessary for you, you know, on your own to do it. But I thought of that, he said, I thought of that feature and I just decided to integrate it and just to make an experiment. It turned out so many people are using it. He said, I couldn't expect that so many people are actually subscribing. And he said, you know, this I got actually from the idea from the casino exactly, in the gambling, where, you know, if you play this black or red or whatever, I mean, you know, you throw the ball or whatever, and if somebody else is doing it, if for example the one that is giving the cards, the croupier, or how do you call it, he throws it, then the ball, it's not the same, you're not so interested into the result, you know, even though he's doing it instead of you. For example, you have put like 50 euros, but he throws the ball and you're not so, you know, hooked by it. But if you're doing it yourself, so if with Facebook, if it's updating on its own, you're not so hooked to be there.
You're doing it.
If you're doing it on your own, only with one, which is completely ridiculous and unnecessary, because anyway to update, if you're the one that gives the command, if you update it on your own, it's your brain reacts a different way. The level of dopamine that's released, it's completely different, just by doing a ridiculous, useless swiping of the screen. So this is actually the logic and the principles behind these designs. And then why, I mean, I don't know, it's really dangerous for adults, but it's also very dangerous for kids. I don't know how is it going to be, you know, with the... I mean, not that I'm not against social media in general, I use it as well, and I think Theodore will use it, you know, in some years and everything, but it has to be the balanced way, and how do you reach this balance? This is again the tricky question. It's... We can't live without it, but we can't live only with it.
Exactly.
It's our whole life.
Technology and
social media and casino and gambling principles behind the design of social media.
Luckily, we don't have any sort of addictions, so we're okay. Now comes to paid product sponsorship.
I love all of my addictions. Yes.
La Chouffe brought to you by Belgium.
By La Chouffe, by
La
us. It's actually good beer, and I pity everyone who's not drinking this good beer.
No, it is a very good one.
And I don't drink usually. So
Uh-huh.
take my word for it.
Yeah, he really doesn't. I mean, yeah.
Good for you.
Well, no,
Good for your liver.
actually it's a good habit of only drinking when you have a special a reason to do so. And I believe this could be my reason, you know. Only when we're on the air I'm allowed to drink, so I have to be as much online as I can be, you know.
Yeah. Then you see it's like 1 o'clock in the evening, I'm in my pajamas.
Live stream is taking
and I'm
place.
just like chilling, and Matthias is like, oh, put the camera on, put the camera on.
Oh, sweetie, no.
I need
next
to
Marco.
sips, yes. Oh no.
Give me those sweet sips. Well, I'm sure there would be people watching that.
Yeah,
Of course, the people watch every single
The drunk
weird
channel,
stuff.
you know.
Do you remember? No, do you remember that video that Sean played us when we were at his place, and it was this woman? Oh my God! Like this video had so many clicks and so many views. It was a woman eating some seafood, but that was what she was
Yes.
doing.
Oh my God.
It was like
And why?
yeah, it was this, you know, like woman that was just sitting with some crab. Was it oyster or I don't know.
It was a
Really.
big fucking crab. I
It
believe
was like
it was
a
that big.
crab. And do you know how you eat crab? I mean, I don't eat such shit, but like, not that it's shit, but I just don't like it.
You're not into it.
Yeah, I'm not into it. But you know, like you have to take it, basically open it,
Yes.
you know, and then your mouth and your like fingers, everything gets like. And she was
disgusting.
like with some jewelries, you know, and like everything prepared nicely, and here the hair and stuff.
No way.
And she was like opening. Oh yeah, and
She was talking about what?
It's really
What was she
good,
talking
and
about?
I'm like good,
Yes.
and she was all the time repeating.
Oh yeah,
and
this
this
is
was-
Okay,
no.
no,
Yeah,
so it has
and
Because
this
she was
the whole
black, you
video
know,
was
so she had the
1
whole
hour
accent
or
thing going
something.
on.
And the camera was like
this is
super close in the
fine.
face, and she was just eating it. That had so many views, I
Sure.
swear. Like so somebody is watching somebody else eating,
Eat.
and like, oh no, this is cool, this is
Oh, yeah.
delicious.
But was she talking about herself or something?
No, she was just
This
like,
is good.
I'm having a crab now.
This is
It's
good.
very good.
I'm
It's good. No, nothing. I mean, nothing.
That's
There was
hilarious.
no conversation, of course, because she was involved with she was occupied with the crab. But
Oh my god. Because a lot of YouTubers do these things where they eat a lot and then they talk about, you know, their lives and whatever. I've seen a few ones. I thought she was one of those
that's
people.
even better. I mean, no.
I guess we're back with the extremes.
Yeah.
Because I can't do that. I can't do such meaningless things in front of the camera.
Why would you? Why would you eat and then just talk about your day? I mean,
But I have
Maybe
a
you don't-
theory.
you
I
don't
have
have
a
it
theory
on
for the
something?
listeners because I believe for many people it's a relationship replacement.
Do you think they're lonely? And
Yes.
that's why they look
Yes.
at such people
Yeah.
doing like ordinary stuff so that
I know
they
it for
don't feel
myself
like,
that I can also, when I'm alone here and I play something and then I couldn't listen to a podcast of some guys, for example.
Yeah.
When you're alone, you know, and the more extreme form would be people who have no social context. Oh, no, but hardly any.
Hardly any.
And then that's what you do, right? Then you go to people on the screen because otherwise you wouldn't have anyone. I'm-
Cry now, that's not awful. I mean, you would go to people on the screen because
I mean,
you
I
really
showed
have
you this
no one.
advertisement of this Japanese avatar that they make. It's I haven't, or have I showed it to you, to Patrick?
No,
It's-
it was
oh,
just
it's
me.
hilarious.
Patrick, yeah.
Because I was with a friend of mine. We were watching Blade Runner, the new part that they made. And Blade Runner was like an 80s movies, an 80s movie about some futuristic robots that become humans and the struggle. And there was like a second part that they brought into cinemas now, and a good movie with Ryan Gosling, among others.
Sorry,
Tell me more about Ryan Gosling.
if you're watching this, hello.
Did he look good?
yes.
And the movie had one
he's
because it plays in a
Can we give like 1 minute of silence for
Yes.
Ryan Gosling?
the guy.
I'll stand up for him.
Yeah,
Yes,
we can turn off the camera.
Oh god.
And it plays in like this futuristic world, right? And the protagonist, he had a girlfriend which was projected by a robot.
Oh my god.
Like it was
Okay.
projected, like there was like a moving arm in the room, you know, that could do
Was
things.
she
Yeah.
It's like a virtual
Okay.
assistant. Yeah, but she was like a virtual avatar, and this arm, you know, could move things and so on, but it also projected like an image of a girlfriend in the room.
Do you know how many other things the arm can do?
Yes, exactly that. I hope so.
Wasn't there some scene in the movie? Like
Interesting.
Okay, thanks for that image. because the protagonist was Ryan Gosling.
Yeah,
So
Ryan
Ryan
Gosling got the arm.
Being jerked off by Metal arm.
Yes.
But they didn't pay good enough, so
Good for
they
the
don't show that
arm.
scene, you know. Maybe it's in the director's cut or in the extras on the
Yes,
Blu-ray.
exactly.
We should ask for
I
them.
envy these directors too.
And this virtual assistant was basically replacing any real girlfriend for him,
Yeah.
you know. She was like a pretty woman and projected and yada yada, and so that was the social life. And
Yeah.
I'm sure for many more people in this
But it's still
dystopian
better
world.
than having somebody else on the
Wait, because just half a year ago, so a Japanese company developed a avatar that does the same thing. It's a small box and it has like the screen or some of sorts, and there's this little
Yeah.
virtual girlfriend in there.
A little one.
Yes.
Not a big one. Oh.
No, she's like, it's such a big box. You have
Yeah.
it somewhere, and in there you see a little virtual girlfriend. And you see the advertisement, it's this Japanese guy.
Do they advertise it as a girlfriend?
There's this guy, this Japanese guy, okay, he's working. Imagine him sitting there, and then you see he's getting a message, and another message, I'm waiting for you, where are you? I'm looking forward to you. And he's like, ah, and writing back, you know. And then you see, okay, it's actually this program, this
Oh,
girlfriend
okay.
program, that he sees when he gets home because she's in this small box. But she also does all those things. She writes to him, she makes him comfortable, she puts on the
It's super
lights.
creepy on so many levels.
It is.
And-
Even
but
hard
that-
It is.
it's hard to start to comment.
But
from
for the
one level because
Japanese,
it's
they
so
have
creepy.
they have this problem because many of their guys they
But is
shut
that how
themselves
you
in.
solve it?
That's how they solve it because they can't get women. They don't have a realistic
But
chance.
that's not a woman. That's psychologically fucked up.
I'm not judging. I'm describing what is the
Yeah,
case.
I know. But
They have no chance because they have a. They have no chance of rising economically. They can't get better jobs because Japanese it's very competitive. So
Yeah,
most guys they
very,
just can't
yeah.
compete, and that's why instead of even trying to
many people even kill themselves. It's like the
Yeah, they have the
biggest-
highest
like
suicide
the
rate.
highest suicide rate because of the jobs exactly. I mean, they even have like a suicide team that is always prepared. I mean, a couple of suicide teams.
I didn't know about
You know,
that.
like a special suicide team that they sometimes. I have read some interviews with them, and they say we can't even keep up. I mean, more suicide teams need to be created because in one day we have like 200 calls. You know, and we have to go to either collect the bodies or trying to convince somebody not to do it.
And that's
but
the
it's-
background. That's exactly the background to
do you
this.
see how wrong the message is? I mean, something that you
I'm not
keep
judging. I'm
in a
describing
box
what I'm
and
seeing.
it's always ready for you. You know, it's there for you. Plays your actual girlfriend, which would never be actually the relationship that you have to an actual girlfriend. I mean, you know, like the
But that's the best
implications
that they can
are
get.
awful and psychologically because but this is first of all that it's artificial thing. This is one thing, and I have no problem with that, to be honest. I mean, I think that in 100 years we're gonna be living with the AIs all around us, and I think they will be quite similar to us. I mean, I don't know whether in terms of aesthetics they will look like us, but it's a very big question of how do we treat those creatures that we have created. This is a big thing, and the fact that you put like a thing that you have created, even though it's not on such level that it's like a human being or whatever, but it still actually is. It's a creation, and you put it into a box so that it waits for you there, and and be your girlfriend that you could always. I mean, that's the wrong message. You should never treat other creations like that. I
I
mean,
don't believe they think.
they
that
don't
far.
think that far.
Because
Yeah,
their
that's
other
the
option
thing,
is
they
being
just-
an alone guy who will never have any social contact.
Well, if that's the reality that we live in, and you're such a yes, I mean, how does that solve? I don't know. This creates another.
This is just, let's say, another easy road. It's
Yeah,
not the
it's a
actual
coping
road.
mechanism.
Yeah, exactly. You just go,
It's a
yeah.
coping yeah, you said it
Because
quite
the other
well.
way,
It's
I
coping-
mean-
because it
The other way is
it
actually
doesn't
harder.
mimic
Yeah.
a real relationship.
Yeah,
they
That's
can't.
the thing.
They
It doesn't
can't
mimic
get a
it,
relationship.
The
vast majority can't. I mean, of those guys, they're short. They don't look good for Japanese terms.
Well, this is
But I
actually
mean-
a very good application for the AI. Let's create really real AIs and everything that could be a potential
But
relationship
that's what they're doing
partner.
already. They're building the sex robots.
Yeah, but yeah.
I mean, then they would just give them an AI brain and then.
Yeah, but that's the thing here. When giving the AI brain, it will be a very, and maybe we're already at that step. I don't know what you think, but it's so intransparent actually that we can't really know for certainty. But we really have to decide, how do we treat those things that we created? Do we treat them as, okay, we have created this robot that
Yeah.
looks kind of like us, and we have the demand of sending it to some man? Do we give it orders? or do we actually give it some form of free will? And this is actually a very tricky step, and it will define our society, it will define our lives, their lives, and actually the whole world, because we are already there. And it's very disturbing for me that nobody is discussing that. I mean, if we have creative self-learning machines and everything, I know somebody would say, are you crazy giving them free will, but they will be under our instructions, they should be under our instructions because otherwise it's too dangerous. Yeah, until when? Until when? Until those creatures that are completely different, they're just creatures, you know? I mean, it is. We have created some machines, but they can self-learn. Sometimes you can't even follow up. Actually, already you can't follow up on some of the AIs, how they came to these conclusions, you know, because they combine, you know, mechanisms and stuff. So until when would it be that they're okay with the fact that we give the orders? Or should you approach it from the beginning on by saying this is a creature that we have created, but it has its own decision-making power, and you give this decision-making power. This is a very...
One of the sex robots can already say no.
Yeah?
Already say no.
This is a...
And I thought then what's the point of having the sex robot?
Yeah.
Of course, but yeah.
It'll be another communism by AI stuff, and they just go, oh no, humans the worst, we're victimized, and then...
It could be, I think, and by the way, if we have to make
robot.
I don't know, I'm not a... But it could be.
Yeah, it's super
potential, you know.
I've been victimized.
I'm not an IT person, I don't work with those machines and everything. I don't know exactly what their capacities are, but from what I hear, and I think that, for example, there was this game, you know, this online game that is very... famous, you know, and like people play it worldwide and stuff. And for the first time, I think last year or something, a robot won that game. It was always a person.
Yeah.
And with the chess was the same.
Yeah, chess
was the same, but there was another one that was also like World of Warcraft, but let's say it.
It was StarCraft.
Yeah, let's say something like that.
But also they Go, by the way. This is this more complex board game.
Yeah.
Also, a Google AI won against the best.
Yeah, that's the thing, and you know. And
but
by the way, if you see the film, because I've seen this of when on chess, you know, when the robot won, like the man that was playing. I mean, he's some.
Kasparov.
Yeah.
Gary Kasparov.
Okay, I'm sorry, I don't know his name and his person, but he was like the eyes. I mean, with the moment that the robot won, it was like, you know, like the whole world changes, and I think his reaction is exactly what we should actually be having, you know, because my God.
I wouldn't go that far with that, because chess is a very well defined set of rules, and that's where computers excel.
But he cannot say how he...
Yes, but what I'm saying is that
it's easier to calculate all the ways.
Yes, you can't tell
with
a computer...
your brain it's harder for you.
You can't tell...
the advantage in this.
Yes, because it has computing power. You can't tell a computer... You can't tell a computer make a good picture. Or make a masterpiece of art. You know, I didn't do that.
Yes, actually you can. Yes, actually you can. It also studies previous art, you know, and it combines what it has. Imagine it, it's a machine that, like, I don't know, and it can process so much information. It actually studies the biggest masterpieces, combines pieces of them and patches together a new artistic work.
It has done that?
It has
or are you
done that.
talking hypothetically?
No, it has done that. It has created movies. It has created the first, you know, like.
And have you seen the movies? Have you seen the movies? They're super creepy. They're nothing like any movie.
They are super creepy.
Like if you look on YouTube, some Google AI has made a movie and it's super creepy. It's really creepy.
They by the way show some. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's because of the lack of emotions and everything, but it feels to me like they can't distinguish what is creepy, what is like scary, you know, and what is lovable or whatever. I mean, I guess
maybe over time they will...
Maybe over time. But to be honest, I mean, it's a bit useless to talk even about the level of development of AI, because I think like so much is intransparent. We actually don't know what it is, which means that it could be completely the level that we're seeing publicly, you know, with this, how was this Amber, or how was she called, the one that was speaking the other day, 2 nights ago? Siri, I'm sorry. Amber, I don't know why. But this would also
nice name. It does sound with AI.
Yeah. But we don't know. Maybe that's the level that they show us publicly, but maybe completely not. And then for the fact that there are like scenarios where humans cannot figure out how the AI machine has combined the knowledge that it has in order to reach that conclusion, for me it's already scary.
Yeah,
and this is already happening. And okay, it could be for a drawing today, you know, it could be, I don't know how you made that cloud, you know, because, but what it be about tomorrow? I mean, like tomorrow it could be for, now they're deploying those machines in wars and everything. Actually, they've been doing it since Iraq, since the 2000s. They have been
Which machines
trying out,
were they deploying?
like robots, you know, that are, like, they are controlled partially, but they also have the self-learning ones, you know,
Like a drone.
like, yeah, drones, and also other types of like on the ground robots.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have been doing that.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, I know they have they're trying some robots like for carrying stuff, for example.
No,
those black creepy robots that you can see, they can
they have
jump
like the
and so
visions.
on.
They have everything. They have the night vision. They have the perfect measurement, even where to shoot and stuff. I mean, I will post it. I will find this TED talk. It was really amazing by this guy who was actually working on still in Afghanistan, in Iraq, you know, in the 2000s, you know, on some weaponry machinery that was also with AI integrated and everything. And he's saying this is already here. You just don't know it, you know. And it was, I have sent you that, but it was some like maybe 2 years, 1 year ago.
Yeah,
something.
with
But
nowadays that's 10 years ago.
It was a TED talk, and it's this scientist who has been developing these machines in the US, and I will find it and
Wow,
post
yeah,
it.
that's mind blowing.
But it is mind blowing. It is. It's here, and it's not something that goes into the news. But you also sent me this article about in China, in some small town, was it, or in Japan, where the AI is running for mayor?
Oh yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
What? I had no idea.
Yeah.
It was in Japan, I believe. There's one.
Was it China or in Japan?
No, I don't think it's China.
No,
I believe it was
China.
Japan. You can even Google it, AI mayor.
Yeah, it's AI.
They had an AI that was running for mayor, and they promised that the AI would make the best decisions.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Oh my God. This is like the Walden movement again.
Yes.
But in a different way.
That's like the
Exactly.
Terminator movies.
Yeah.
You know, when in the
It
end...
is disturbing.
do you want some more beer, by the way? Or did you drink your beer?
Yeah, I'll have some.
Yeah?
But I just...
Schuf, sponsor by Schuf.
Yeah.
That really reminds me of Terminator movies because in the end they have this AI which is called Skynet,
Yeah.
and it becomes self-aware, and when it does, it creates killer robots, the Terminators, to extinguish the humanity,
Yeah.
because it sees that the humans are a threat, you know, and that's how Arnold Schwarzenegger got famous, because he was the first Terminator.
He was.
Yeah, it was in the 80s.
That's
Yeah,
actually
that's
He was the
true.
cool guy in the...
Terminator and stuff.
Oh, it's such a classic.
And he's a governor now, so we're screwed.
Oh, yeah.
It's working well.
The Governator. And there you
Thank
go.
Thank you.
Was Arnold Schwarzenegger the first AI? How disappointing.
Oh my god, he was actually the first one.
Yeah, how disappointing.
No, there was not that much to replace, so they just stuck it in his head.
Yeah. And just go to see the little one for like
yeah.
Yeah, he was talking to me very eagerly.
He's quiet now, so he's doing okay.
I gave him the bottle of...
Ah.
I know, to quiet him, because he was a bit surprised what was happening, and poor me.
Aw. Well, yeah, one day he'll be here. We'll bring his like special chair and then have him talk.
But AI stuff wasn't... It was part of your studies in general.
He's totally sleeping.
Oh. Wait, did we do a lot of it? Not really.
Because Laura was...
Yeah.
What's up?
And we said to her that we're gonna meet her at 8:30.
It's 3 missed calls. Oh, this is horrible.
Oh, this is horrible, really.
Yes.
Also,
Okay, you check the phone.
Another friend, yeah, because of this podcast. This is horrible.
You can call her briefly.
Yes, I will. I just have to.
We're almost done anyway. Because
Yeah, we're almost done. Should we tell her? Oh.
Tell her we're coming, or if she wants, you can go directly to the others. If she doesn't want
To
to
the
wait.
birthday, I don't know whether she wants to go to the birthday. Oh.
Just call her.
Oh,
You
yeah,
call her.
we'll
You
call
go
her.
call her.
I
And
totally didn't see it.
We can wrap up.
You see how it happens with the talking and
I
the
saw it, though.
discussions. Why didn't you say
because we
something?
were having good conversation. What can we
But
do?
she's... Okay.
What is more important in life?
Oh my god, it's 10 to 9.
Friends. Friends are more important than everything.
I believe in my audience.
Our promises and everything.
I'm really sorry. I left my phone.
Anyways, we do. We can wrap up slowly.
Yeah, we should. But we had such a good talk. I mean, so many.
Yes. Well, what can we
Okay.
say?
At somebody first, right?
Yes, it's in the
Okay.
So,
Yeah, we're going. Yeah, we're coming. In 10 minutes.
Yeah. Do you want her to come towards us, or we can?
No, because we'll miss each other, right?
How would it be the best? But we go quickly now, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Can she wait for 10 minutes?
Yeah, well, can you wait for like 10 minutes? Okay,
She can watch our live stream.
Yes,
Yeah,
we'll see you if I do there. Okay.
So we can wrap up.
Yeah.
Today's the second live stream, right?
Yeah.
Next
But we're having third one.
next week, Friday,
We're closing.
you can tune in again. We will make it at the same time,
Yeah.
6:30 to 7:30.
Yeah, it's a bit spontaneous, but on Friday after work, I mean, it's a good.
It depends a bit on our guests' schedules.
Yeah, that
Right.
as well.
Today we waited a bit because you had to come with the train.
Yes.
But it's generally between 6:30 7:30.
But I hope to have you again soon.
Yeah,
for
I
this
definitely want to
discussion.
come
Yeah,
back.
you
Yeah,
enjoy
I mean,
it.
it was really interesting. I was kind of a bit intimidated at first, to be quite honest. But
Yeah,
I
I
know,
mean,
and then just,
I know it's always
Yeah,
the first time in
I'll
front of
definitely-
camera, and but you see that it's super chill. I mean,
It
it's just
is.
like we're talking.
We
to
had
each
3
other and
viewers in between, by the way.
then- Yeah, good.
Live viewers, yeah.
yeah.
And many more afterwards when we promote ourselves and when we share the
Yes.
links.
Oh, promotions.
I will help with that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll just share it with my
Yay!
friends and stuff.
Very good.
No, I really enjoyed our talk.
Yeah, me
Me
too.
too, me too.
Me too.
We talked about anything, like from genocide to AI.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, it's interesting
I mean,
how
when
we
you
move
think
through the
about
topics. Yes, but that's the sign of the best conversations, I believe.
What would the AI say to genocide? Like, get rid
They'll
of the
start it one day.
get rid of the humans, you know.
Get rid of them.
No, such a human thing. Maybe I should integrate it and try it. You know, I mean, it learns, basically it mimics humans, so I'm sure. Actually, this is another thing, you know, it mimics humans. To what degree it will. War is part of humans.
Yes.
And we have to admit it. We have to admit our dark sides, not only our lights. Oh, such a progress. I mean, although I am for the AI, I mean, I think that it's a good achievement, but it has to be really... really careful and really strategic, and really you have to think before the things happening. That's what bothers me a lot.
But if people can't
Doing
handle
that.
social media, how are they going to handle AI? That's
People
really
get
stupid.
offended
Maybe
and they
Facebook will
cry
become
out
self-aware.
because of the...
Imagine everything that's on Facebook becomes
I
an
hope
AI.
it shuts down. I mean, I hope it shuts itself
Memes,
down.
you know, and curse
Oh, I
words.
can't take it anymore.
Shit, that's humanity.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna jump into a black hole.
Or maybe the AI will develop immediately like a UFO plane or something. I mean, like a such plane, and just like get the hell out of here. I mean, like leave us on Earth. You know, like those fuckers. I mean, they don't deserve even destruction. You know, I just like get the hell out of here as fast as I can.
Maybe that already happened.
Oh, maybe it
Yeah?
had- yeah.
No, we forgot about it.
Although
We're
still
rebuilding them again.
Zuckerberg is here. I mean, he's like the AI.
Or maybe it's the AI from another Earth.
Oh my god. Wait.
Mind blown.
Mind blowing.
Multiverse confirmed.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe that's a good ending.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
for
you
having
for
me
being
again.
here.
Oh, thank you for having me actually. I really had a
Always,
really good time.
with great pleasure.
Thank you for being with us.
Yes. See you.
Yes.